I'm Mark Cleghorn and welcome to the Lastolite School of Photography and welcome to RayD8. No, it's not the way I'm glowing today, even though perhaps I am under these warm tungsten light bulbs. It's the RayD8 continuous light source by Lastolite. These models are available in two different kind of styles of lighting. At present, I'm under tungsten, but we also have the fluorescent versions. But we'll talk about those a little bit more in depth as we go through this film. So whether you're a portrait photographer or a product photographer, continuous light allows us to do great things. Why? Because we basically can see what the light is doing, whether it's in exposure or where the light falls. It allows us to be able to see the photograph as it happens, instead of struggling at times with flash, especially for the inexperienced photographer, where you're having to dial down powers and everything else, and not quite understanding the formula of flash and how it all kind of works together. So the great thing about the continuous light source is we will get what we basically see in front of us, as long as we set the camera settings to the main source of the color temperature and of course the correct exposure. With a continuous light source, we're dependent on the bulb that we choose to light the subject. So one of the little things we're going to be using quite a lot today is our easy balance. Now you've seen this used on quite a lot of the videos. Why? Because we're looking to custom balance, especially today for color. But the cool thing about this is that because we're using a continuous light source, we can also use this 18% grey card to give us our exposure value as well, and we'll be doing that during the course of this film. We're using just the two-headed kit, so we've got one RayD8 here. This is the C5600 kit. We've decided to use the fluorescent in studio. Why? Because we can control the light a little bit better. We're going to simulate using the tungsten heads later on in a little room set as if we're at the client's home, but we'll get to that later on, as I said. So we've got the two heads running, both with the fluorescent in. The first thing I'm going to do, we're going to bring Tia, our model, in, and then we're going to first of all custom balance, and then we're going to take the exposure. As I mentioned to you before, one of the great things about doing this as far as using continuous lighting is concerned is that we can expose through the camera's own metering itself. So let's bring in Tia, we'll bring the easy balance in as well and get the shot done. You're just going to be around about there, please, T. So I've just photographed the easy balance. Now I'm just going to go into my camera the settings, and I'm going to go to custom white balance. Because we're not going to use a meter for this style of photography today, which is probably one of the first times you've ever seen me shoot without a meter, we're going to expose from the easy balance itself. So just going to raise that up a little bit from the card. Now I'm just going to go into it and fill my frame with the 18% grey and just change my exposure to give me a working aperture and shutter speed. For instance, what I've got here is 400 ISO, 125th of a second at f4. Thank you, Tia. Gorgeous there, it's gorgeous. Turn that hand around to me a little bit more, that's gorgeous there. Happier, turn the head this way a little bit. Relax. Basically, the lighting position gives us exactly what we're seeing in the lens, as long as we've got our exposure right. There's the expression again, what you see is what you get. However, we're using this lighting at present undiffused. Now remember that these come with this little diffusion cap, which is basically the cheapest form of softbox or a similar, you're going to get to that. So I'm just going to put that across the top, and that will now diffuse the light source a little bit. So that's what we've done, is just diffuse the light source going through here. Very similar if we were using a tri-grip diffuser compared to a reflector to go between. The difference between the diffuser and the likes of the shower cap, of course, is the diffuser is a little bit more kind of advanced in its technology to give us a guaranteed exposure change, whether you've got a one-stop or a two-stop diffuser to put in front of that. You just check out some of our other videos for that. Happier? Excellent. Good girl. Lower that chin a little bit more, darling. It's gorgeous there. Now, as you can see here, what we've done is we've switched off all our other fluorescent lights that we've got in the room to illuminate it for the video, because obviously all I want to do is show you what I'm going to get photographically. This light source, still the same. It's come in a little bit to increase the exposure onto her, and hence I've had to change the exposure on camera. The hair light hasn't moved its position yet, but it's really not visible at this point because I've gone in that very tight crop. But look how dark that background has become because we've reduced the amount of spillage onto it. A little step to me, please. Gorgeous. Now turn your body away from the light a little bit more and turning the head in towards here. That's gorgeous there. Keep it. Turn the head back to me a little bit. Now, there's our second point of the light. And what we've done is we've created shadow more down this side because the light is beginning to fall more onto the side of the one part of the face than the other. Now, if we just turn the head in towards the light a minute, there we flat lit the light again, which we want to avoid because that just makes the face look fatter in size because it's more being lit. Whereas you turn the head back to be, well, that's beautiful just there. We've created the shadow here to, again, light those 5 planes of the face, the forehead, the chin, the 2 cheeks and the nose. That's what we're using, that control of either the body position or the head position to get those images. I think you'll see that even a simple setup like we've got here, how we can get great photographs with a continuous light source, making it very easy to see where the light falls onto the subject, allowing us to either change camera position or the subject's position to get the great photograph. So we've moved up to the kind of room set side of the studio now. It's good because it simulates being in a client's home or whatever. Now we're lucky today, we're in winter months, so it's quite dark outside and so on. So we haven't got a massive amount of streaming light coming through here. We're going to be using the tungsten kit, and the reason that I use the tungsten kit at a client's home is that if I want the light behind, or the light coming through the windows to appear more bluer in colour, then this is the way to do it, because we can set a tungsten balance on camera, because that's what the bulbs are set for, and this will give us a natural kind of change of colour of the natural light, increasing the amount of blue, which is even more apparent in winter months, of course. Cool, so I've set my exposure, but I don't even need to take the photograph. Why? Because all I'm trying to do is get the exposure, not the colour balance. Now, because these are a tungsten bulb, all I need to do, remember when we were in studio, we custom balanced onto that easy balance. Now I'm going to just set my colour balance here into the tungsten mode, which is the little bright bulb that you see in the camera. That's great, straight at me. And as simple as that, we get the shot. And all we're going to do is just soften the light. Now, as you might have seen in the last photographs, we had quite a lot of shadow, and that's because the light was being used without any diffusion, and that refers to a hard light source. Now we're using a reflected light source, it's going into an umbrella, so hence the shadows are going to be more diffused, so this is where it's referred to as a diffused light source. So straight at me again, darling, that's beautiful just there. Let me just check you look great. Not bad at all. Turning the head around to me again, that's gorgeous. Happier. Let's keep it. A little lean with the head just into the side. Now, what you can see here is I've moved the sofa just away from the wall a little bit, just so I can move this light behind. Because just like in the studio, the position of the light is very important to the style of the portrait. Remember, once again, with continuous light source, the great thing about this is what I can see is what I'm going to get, as long as I give that correct exposure based on what we've already talked about. Turn the head away from more. It's gorgeous there. And again for me. Beautiful. What a dramatic change. It's gorgeous just there. Thank you. So isn't that a cool way that we can use the continuous light source for not only our stills, but be able to move straight into the tungsten mode to be able to work the video. So how cool is that? But I do like to work with a brighter light source, and so we may as well face it. Video on DSLRs is going to be around for a long time to come, and we may as well get used to those skills now. So combining the likes of the continuous lighting as we have here on the RayD8 heads with the tungsten bulb to give us that more exposure, we can get a video and stills without hardly changing anything at all, just our imagination within the session. Looking away again for me, fast. Look the other way, big, happy, excellent, just there. It's gorgeous. Very cool, thanks T. So, that's it. Mark Cleghorn for the Lastolite School of Photography with the RayD8 lights. We'll see you on the next one, bye-bye.